Season 3 of The Boys is only 5 episodes in, and it is already even weirder, wilder, and bloodier than ever before. Based on Garth Ennis and Darick Robertson's comic book series of the same name, the hit Prime Video series has introduced to us some of the vilest, most ridiculous, and yes, most diabolical superheroes we have ever seen on screen. But besides Vought's crowning jewel, the Seven, led by none other than the worst of the worst, Homelander, Antony Starr, how do some of the non-Seven Supes rank in terms of power? As a forewarning for those who are still recovering from Season 3's first episode, Termite is on this list, but we stand by our decision. Collider video of the day. Gecko. Gecko, David William Thompson, appeared briefly in Season 2 as Annie's, Erin Moriarty, old friend from her Capes for Christ days. He works as an S&M sex worker on the download, a pretty easy gig for him seeing as how he appears to feel little to no pain while getting his limbs hacked off. Gecko has the power of regeneration, so he can regrow body parts as soon as they're severed. He figured out how to make this into a pretty lucrative business venture, allowing his customers to chop off whatever body part they want. He'll even let you chop off his dick, because why the hell not, right? Gecko may not have the most useful power, but it is pretty metal if you think about it. Termite. Alright, hear me out on this one. Termite, Brett Geddes, is basically the boys' version of Marvel's Ant-Man, so you can imagine how useful he could be if he had different priorities. Like Ant-Man, Termite has the power to significantly reduce his size. He can shrink down so that he is small enough to, say, crawl inside a man's penis and then sneeze, unintentionally causing said man to blow up. Imagine if instead of using his powers to dive into orifices, he used it to do something more heroic. At least he wouldn't have to worry about splattering anyone's organs all over the room by accident. R.I.P. poor guy from Season 3, Episode 1. Mesmer. The Mesmerizer, aka Mesmer, Haley Joel Osment, is a former member of the Teenage Kicks and former child star of the TV show The Mesmerizer. Mesmer possesses the power of telepathy, but unfortunately, he must have physical contact with the person whose mind he wants to read. Requiring physical contact is definitely a downfall, but no one is going to argue that telepathy is not one of the top-tier superpowers. Sadly, Mesmer is dead, having been brutally murdered by Butcher, Karl Urban, but he also was a straight-up snitch, so it's not too much of a loss. Doppelganger. Doppelganger, Dan Zanko, has the ability to shapeshift into a perfect copy of anyone and is even able to perfectly mimic anyone's voice. Unfortunately, it becomes painful if he stays in one form for too long, as we saw in Season 2 when he struggled to maintain his Emmy-worthy performance as Madeline Stillwell, Elizabeth Shue, which Homelander forced him into for his own perverse fantasies. Doppelganger is, by nature, stealthy, and enjoys using his powers to cause humiliation, so there wasn't much of a reason to grieve after Homelander snapped his neck with the ease of someone breaking off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Kinji Miyashiro. Kinji, Abraham Lim, is Kimiko's, Karen Fukuhara, younger brother, also known as the Supe terrorist or supervillain. Along with Kimiko, Kinji was abducted by the Shining Light Liberation Army, a terrorist organization, at a young age. Kinji and Kimiko's parents were killed, and the siblings were forced to join the army. Like Kimiko, Kinji is extremely powerful. He possesses the power of telekinesis, so he can move objects as heavy as a small ship freighter with only his mind alone. He also has enhanced durability. Sadly, Stormfront, Yakash, breaks his neck and kills him in front of Kimiko, shortly after the siblings are reunited. Five. Kimiko Miyashiro. Kimiko, an official member of the boys, is a certified badass. With superhuman strength, durability, and agility, Kimiko is a force to be reckoned with. Not to mention, Kimiko has insanely powerful regenerative abilities, as we first see in Season 1 where she is able to survive fatal dagger wounds from Black Noir in just a matter of minutes. Unfortunately, because of her abilities, Butcher often uses her as his own personal weapon. Kimiko has suffered enough for one lifetime and deserves much more, specifically, a quiet, peaceful life in Marseille with Frenchie, Tomer Capon, if we have any say in it. Four. Cindy. Cindy, as Hodlemoser, appeared very briefly in Season 2, Episode 6, but she definitely left a lasting impression. Cindy was a patient at the Sage Grove Center where Vought, specifically Stormfront, are injecting Compound V into test subjects. Cindy appears to have a power very similar to Congresswoman Newman in that she can implode people telekinetically. She also has superhuman durability and appears to be completely bulletproof. After she escapes and casually crushes a guard to bloody smithereens, we last see her hitchhiking barefoot away from the facility. Creator Eric Kripke confirmed on Twitter that this is not the last we will see of Cindy, and we can't wait to see what havoc she may wreak on Vought in the future. Three. Victoria, Nadia, Newman. Congresswoman Victoria Newman, Claudia Dumit, the infamous head popper. Victoria's powers are similar to Cindy's, though we still don't know enough about Cindy at this point to confirm which of the two Supes is more powerful. Victoria is able to make people's heads explode via telekinesis, a horrifying superpower for someone to have, especially if that someone is in a position of power. One weakness in Victoria's power, however, is that it seems like she must have a direct line of sight to her victims, as we saw when her former best friend Tony, Kyle Mack, attempted to cover her eyes so that she couldn't use her powers on him. Regardless, the ability to literally explode heads is a pretty damn formidable power to have. Two. Ryan Butcher. It is admittedly a little risky putting Ryan, Cameron Crevetti, so high on this list at this point because we still know very little about what he can actually do. That being said, we know that as Homelander's son, he has heat vision powerful enough to burn Stormfront to a crisp in the Season 2 finale. He also has super senses, particularly superhuman hearing. He also has superhuman smell because he can detect that Butcher's blood smells funny after he injects himself with Compound V24. Most importantly, showrunner Eric Kripke confirmed in an interview with TV Guide that Ryan's lasers are even more powerful than Homelander's, which leads us to believe that Ryan may one day be the one to take his psychotic father down. That is, if Soldier Boy, Jensen Ackles, doesn't get to him first. 1. Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy, Jensen Ackles, America's greatest hero long before Homelander, is literally a human nuclear bomb. It's hard for any Supe to compete with that, even Homelander himself. According to Vought, Soldier Boy supposedly died heroically in 1984 due to a nuclear power plant meltdown when in fact, Soldier Boy was captured by the Russians and experimented on for decades until the boys accidentally released him from his cryogenic chamber. Soldier Boy doesn't appear to have aged a day. Not only does he possess superhuman strength and superhuman durability, but he also has the terrifying ability to emit powerful radiation-infused energy blasts from his chest. His nuclear blasts, combined with his trauma-induced rage after decades of torture, certainly make Soldier Boy the most dangerous, most formidable non-7 Supe.